Um, Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Illinois WorkNet webinar. We're going to be talking today about elevator speeches and how you can get your message out effectively and efficiently. I am Dee Reinhardt. I am your guide today. I am a social media strategist and working on this webinar project with Illinois WorkNet. And today, behind the scenes and also on audio and in chat, helping me work the presentation is Natasha Telger, Chelsea Jones, DeTonya Gooden, and Lacey Pollock, all of Illinois WorkNet. So when we start out and we start networking or we start talking to people, we have about 15 seconds to make a good impression. So when you press the button, will you be ready to express yourself to a stranger? Marketers and public relations specialists know that in many situations, you have just the time that it takes for an elevator ride to grab the attention of a reporter. Hence, the phrase elevator pitch came about to explain the amount of time you have to explain your business or pitch your story to a reporter. So how does this correlate to your personal elevator pitch when it comes to sharing the key aspects of your career or your business product with somebody? So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what you can do to enhance your 3 words, your 140 characters, 1 sentence, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or a minute, and then the 14 square inches of space that you can use to help promote yourself. How many of you tweet? Raise your hand. The little guy at the top of the screen will help you raise your hand. Okay, we have 1, 2. Oh, okay, so a few of you tweet. Could you get your message about you across in 140 to 160 characters? Think of your elevator speech in terms of tweeting your message about you or your product in 140 characters. And if you can include what inspires you to do what you do in that same amount of time, you're golden. Just to give you an example of who's tweeting, the Pope actually tweeted out the Christmas story at Christmas time. So that was an interesting way to get that out in 140 seconds. Or I'm sorry, 140 characters. So we have a simple strategy to help us do our elevator speech. We need to be clear. We need to be concrete. We need to exhibit some passion, and we need to do it in record time. We live in a society that moves at a breakneck speed. Time is money. Chances are few, so you have to grasp them when you can. We never know at what time or in what circumstance we might find ourselves with a great opportunity. So if we prepare our message to be adaptable to any situation, while being able to provide it clearly with assertiveness and passion, doing so while on the clock, we can be successful with connecting that message to a larger audience. So now we have a new poll question coming in. How many networking events do you say that you attend per month? You have 10 plus on there as an option as well. If you're listening to me on the phone as well as on your speakers, turn off your speakers on your computer so that you're only listening to me on the phone. Okay, so everybody's had a chance to answer the poll question. We're going to move on here. 1 week last month, I counted 7 networking events on my calendar in 1 week. It is always good to participate where possible. In almost all of the situations, there is open networking when you attend a networking function. Introductions happen, and you need to be prepared. So DeTonya and I were having a conversation yesterday, and she's going to speak to a nonprofit group, and she needs to figure out how she's going to introduce herself. So most of the time, what you're saying is very short, and it's what you're talking about at the moment. So sometimes you're allowed an extended introduction, or as I like to call those, intromercials. When groups are very large, people can drone on, and you just want to hear the orchestra music come up to tell them their time is up, like on the Academy Awards. What can you say at a networking event, a job fair, or an expo, or in an elevator that will pique a person's interest and entice them to spend more time with you, getting to know your story in greater detail? Talk about how you can prepare yourself for the next time you're faced with an opportunity to tell someone who you are meeting for the very first time about what you have to offer them. So right now, we're going to create an elevator pitch. Your name, your position, your sub-pitch, interests, and how it can apply to your listener. So the basic would be, if you want to include a few key statements about yourself, is your position. I'm an architect. That's your key statement. In commercial development for 10 years, this gives the listener an idea of what level of expertise you have. Your sub-pitch, I've supervised over, I don't know how many projects, ranging from 10,000 square feet to 130,000 square feet in 20 major metropolitan areas. And add an interest. That means by including where, maybe, Singapore, New York, Chicago, and Little Rock. And then apply it to your listener. My concepts attract new business from companies like X, Y, or Z. And if you're using your pitch in a cover letter or interview, direct the last portion of your pitch to create a comparison to the business's situation, perhaps their direct competition if possible. So what we want to do is we want to provide the importance of what's in it for them. Many of us talk and we tell people, what's in it for me? But we want the listener to understand how we can help them solve their problems. So a couple of ideas that you can do to include in your elevator pitch about this is, how did you increase revenue? Give them value. How did you decrease costs? Were you able to increase profit or solve a problem that allows other areas to increase revenue, decrease costs, or increase profit? For nonprofit or government entities, were you able to increase awareness or participation? What did you recommend as far as accomplishments? What did you recommend, like a process improvement that saved your company a few $1 million? That would be really nice. How relevant is what you're saying to the person that you're speaking to? So, for example, did you do something to increase the revenue for your past employers? Did you demonstrate the billions in revenue you raised? It won't mean anything to a hiring manager whose job it is to cut costs. So you need to make sure that you're listening to the person that you're speaking with, if possible, so that they can be able to determine whether or not you will be able to solve their problems. What did you do with your responsibilities? Managed P&L, profit and loss, is a description, but instead make sure that you translate that into how you did something with profitability. So you increased profitability by 5% over the 3 years you managed the P&L responsibly. For non-management candidates, you can use similar tactics to show how you decreased office expense by 10% by initiating a vendor review program. Anything that will help you give numbers that will help you show that you can solve problems. So now here's the strategy of how you can craft your elevator pitch. Write down what you do. Make sure that you write it in several different ways, and try writing it at least 10 to 20 different ways. Don't edit yourself at all, so that you're doing some self-brainstorming. We'll edit later. And the first step is generating ideas. Don't hold back. Don't hold back at all. Ideas can be goofy or wild and funny or conservative. If necessary, when you want to write a short story. So tell your pitch in a story form. Paint a picture, because some people might not understand what you're trying to say, so that you need to make sure that you write it down. Write down your objectives and your goals. And do you want to make it a sale, gain a prospect, support an idea, earn a referral, or what? Once you have those 10 or 20 action statements written down as well, it's a time to spur on what you want to do. Also, once you get this all put together so that you have your statements prepared, you want to try to record yourself. There's a couple of different tools. You can use your phone. Some of the smartphones have a recording function. Or you might be able to use your webcam on your computer. Just listen to yourself saying what you can do. Then let it sit. Ruminate on it for a little bit. Come back, look at it the next day. Make sure that you've got some fresh eyes. And then highlight the good stuff. Listen to it again, put it all together, and then remember, it's always a work in progress. Practice, practice, practice. You also don't want to make it sound like you're automated or a robot. You want to just make sure that whatever you're saying comes across genuinely and actually sounds like you mean what you're saying with it. Okay, let's face it. When we're waiting for something, a minute can seem like an eternity. This is the ideal situation in which to find yourself, where you have an expanded period of time. But having the entire minute to explain what you're doing, that's amazing. You very rarely have that opportunity. But remember, keep it simple and short. Use the KISS principle. You will avoid boring other individuals, and you can learn more about them, perhaps tailoring your pitch to address the needs that you hear in the conversation. We set up the basics in the previous slide to help you know what it is that you need to say when you have the opportunity. But what is your end goal? How do you say that? Communicate what your ideal situation might be. A new client, a new job, a chance to sit down with somebody. That's what an action statement is. It's giving you that next step. What action do you want the person to be able to take when you're finishing the conversation with them? All of this 60-second sort of stuff can be applied in your resume as well, although your resume gives you the big opportunity to share all of these things. So think of your elevator pitch as a mini resume. What's your goal? What your goal to accomplish in your pitch is to promote your unique selling proposition. What value can you bring to the table? Again, what's in it for them? Don't always use your elevator pitch as I this, I this. Use it more as your opportunity to help the other person. Make the ask. Maybe it's something as simple as, could we meet for coffee? Or do you know anyone to whom you could direct me? If you do not have anything available, would you suggest 2 names of colleagues that might have? And then what's your hook? What will you say that makes the listener want to know more? Now remember, all of this needs to be accomplished in no more than 225 words. Oh, y'all are saying, oh, 225 words. But it actually can work. All right, listen closely here. How many of you recognize that music? Raise your hand. All right. That music is the final answer music on Jeopardy, and it's only 30 seconds long. What can you do with your message to be able to make it fit within the final answer music? So now what we're going to do, this is what we need to look at next. We need to look at what is your name and title. So this is where you build your 30-second elevator pitch. What's your name and title? So that's the question. Who are you? You fill in the answer behind it. What are you looking for in a job? Or what are you looking for in a client? Or what are you looking for in a prospect? What are your skills? Enumerate them in keyword phrases. And then, what do you want? Do you want a new job? Do you want to solve a problem for a company? What is your goal? What can you offer? Meaning, how do you solve someone else's problems? Ask for help. So again, if that person that you're speaking to doesn't have anything right then, ask them for a referral or ask them to sit down for coffee. All of these tips are on Illinois WorkNet. Thank you, Chelsea, for posting the link. And it actually has a worksheet that you can look at. And then you want to thank them for listening. So here's an example of a 30-second elevator speech that's used for someone looking for a job. And I set my stopwatch on my phone and read this paragraph. Hello, my name is Dan Lehman, and I am a machine tool operator who is presently between jobs. I have 19 years of experience in machine tooling, and I can read and interpret blueprints. I can set up, operate, and program CNC machines. I can also maintain the machines. I noticed that you work in this company and was wondering if you are familiar with the human resources manager or the person responsible for hiring operators, because I would like to get my resume to that person. Are you aware of any job openings that would require my skills? I appreciate your time. You're taking the time to listen to me and would appreciate any help that you might give me in my job search. Offer to shake their hand and say, have a good day. That phrase timed out to 38 seconds. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 30 seconds on the spot, but you can craft something so that it will work within that short time frame. Now here's another introduction or an elevator speech that a networking acquaintance of mine uses. Hello, my name is Andy Krivergrad from Advanced Telecommunications of Illinois, also known as ATI. We are a provider of business communication systems and have been in business for over 30 years. Our core products are ShoreTel and MyTel, and we are also a licensed cabling contractor. Additionally, we represent multiple network service carriers, so we can order any lines or internet packages for you. Great opportunities for me are customers who are moving, growing, new construction, or just looking to update their communications. So when your phone system is about to fry, don't cry, call Andy at ATI. It was 40 seconds, but I was probably messing up the names a couple of times, and they weren't my product, so it wasn't quite as smooth as when Andy actually says it himself. But that's what you want to do, is you want to craft it so that it's repeatable, so that it is recognizable, and that you can repeat it on a regular basis. We're going to boil down to one sentence, and what I'm doing is, if you have a one-sentence elevator pitch and would like to, you can add it into the chat pod there, and we'll take a look at them. So what can you say if you only have time for one sentence? Now, mind you, some people have the art of run-on sentences down to a T. We're speaking about a well-formed subject, verb, adjective phrase with no dangling participle sentences. So let's take a go at it. Who has a sentence that reflects their skills and goals? Type it in the chat pod, and we can talk about a couple of them. So here's my example. My name is Dee Reinhardt. I'm a social media strategist that helps small business and solopreneurs optimize their digital presence through various platforms, including LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and a myriad of other social media platforms. That statement is 241 characters, including spaces, and 36 words. Natasha, DeTonia, and Chelsea, I think, put in theirs. And let's take a look. My name is Lacey Pollock. I ensure that projects with Illinois WorkNet are kept on schedule, including social media, proofing, website content, as well as account maintenance. And then Chelsea wrote, my name is Chelsea Jones. I provide customer service to individuals, businesses, and workforce partners so they can navigate the Illinois WorkNet website, as well as assisting with webinars, emails, website content, and social networking. Okay, Maria Lynch, you need a little bit more on there, hon, for your accounting systems. Who else do we have? My name is Matt Adams. I am a West Point trained leader, expert in customer relationship management, process improvement, cost reduction, and project management. That's good, Adam. I'm sorry, Matt. That's good. I like that. You have keywords in there, and you are telling people basically how you can solve their problems. Okay. The other thing that you can do with this is to take an approach to develop a catchphrase that people can remember. It needs to rhyme or sound sort of kitschy, but it catches people's attention. So it's like the last sentence of my networking buddies message where it says, so when your phone system is about to fry, don't cry, call Andy at ATI. I remember it. I remember that phrase, and it's one of the reasons why that particular one is so successful, because it rhymes, it's kitschy, and it talks to you about what it is that he does. Okay, we've got a couple of questions over here that I want to try and answer. And Suzanne asks, how do you do a minute without seeming to ramble? The minute is pretty much for an extended period. It may not necessarily be something that you would do in an elevator. It's going to be more something that you might do at a networking event where you're standing and meeting somebody. But what I like to do with that is I like to ask people questions during that time frame so that I can answer them specifically. Okay, moving on to the next, we'll take a look at these the minute elevator speeches as well. Chelsea, can you help me? I can't get to the present. Thank you. Next up, we're going to go back to our 140 characters or less. 140 characters is what you can use in a Twitter post. Forced brevity sharpens the mind. Work with a trusted friend or a counselor or somebody that you're in email connection with to work on keeping your pitch brief. Just as in creating a new marketing idea, you may need to brainstorm ways to keep the word count down. So my 140 characters, you can see it on the screen. I am Dee Reinhardt, a social media strategist helping small business and solopreneurs build their digital presence on a variety of platforms. And if you notice, I have one character left. So that means that my 140 characters is actually 139. Once you've built the 30-second pitch, it's very easy to boil it down to the one sentence or the 140 characters. It gives you that much more flexibility. And it doesn't mean that it has to be the same thing all the time. It can change as you go along. All right, moving on to, so we put our one sentence in. Let's give everybody the opportunity to type in their 140 characters. Can anybody boil down their one sentence to 140 characters? So if you look at Chelsea's right there, it's basically what she had said in her one sentence, but she hit the key words. Okay, whoever typed in, I am an entrepreneur, career consultant, public speaker, supporting people in career transition through technology and coaching. That's good. That gives you the opportunity, except you lost your name, so you got to remember the name in there. And DeTanya says, hello, my name is DeTanya Gooden, and I help business integrate the Illinois WorkNet website into their daily workforce solutions. I like that, DeTanya. That's very good. My name is Suzanne, and I have worked in retail for 25 years. Most of my positions were backdoor receiving. All right, I like that as well. You always want to make sure that your grammar is as correct as possible as well. It looks like we've got more than 140 characters in the top one, so you need to cull that down a little bit. Let's see. Hi, I'm Linda Fall. I'm a full-charge bookkeeper, and I help business owners manage and get a current, clear financial picture so they can make informed decisions. All right, I know everybody's typing pretty fast, so that might be a little bit poor grammar, but I understand what you're trying to say. So once you've typed things out a couple of times, you might want to go back, take a look, and make sure that what you're saying actually makes sense. We had this discussion during the resume webinar. I always pass things that I do past my husband because my husband's in construction. He doesn't necessarily always understand the different marketing aspects of my job. So if he can understand what I'm saying, then I know I've got it covered up pretty well for anybody else that I might meet. So pass things by people that you don't know exactly what you do. All right. We're going to move that one out of the way and bring in the next one, which is 3 words. What 3 words can represent you? So sometimes in very large networking groups that are on a tight time frame, I've attended, and they ask you to say your name, your position, your company name, and 3 words that describe what you do. Trust me, this was very hard the very first time I did it. But once you have 3 words prepared, which is what we're working on today, you can be ready for anything. So what's that Boy Scout motto? Always be prepared. What are your 3 words? You can have multiples for a variety of situations, and also so that you don't get bored and so that people don't get bored. So let's type in your 3 words in the chat pod at the bottom underneath the presentation. Okay, so we've got a couple of them in here already, but let me tell you mine here. Branding through social. social media optimizing, socializing small business. So those are all examples of 3 words that after they've heard my job title and my company name, they understand a little bit more about what I do. So let's take a look at what we have down here. IT support enablement. I like that. Workforce project tasks. I like that. I can't say that word that just went in there, Tahi for arthritis. So somebody must sell supplements, which that works for what the purpose is that you're trying to do. Urban project director. Ooh, I like that one. Statewide workforce guide. I like that too. Workforce career specialist. That's okay. Certified public accountant, you can actually get that down to CPA and then add 2 other words. So that gives you a little bit more opportunity. Accurate, dependable, and honest. Ooh. So now I'd be interested to hear what that job was that goes along with accurate, dependable, and honest. But you cheated because it's a 4. Organizing, planning. Oh, you can do detail. Managing details could be detail-oriented because that's a hyphenated word. That's how you can cheat on some of these. All right, what else do we have? We have disability employment advocate would be what your 3 words would be instead of putting in the 4. Always think quick. Ooh, I like voiceover artist. I'd love to hear you. Logical, precise, organized. Good tools for, especially if you have bookkeeping in your title or CPA. What else do we have? People keep typing. Human performance improvement. I like that one. Investigating, training, communicating. I like that one as well. All right, so you guys are getting the ideas here. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're boiling down what we are about so that somebody else can get it from the key words that we're using. Now, for those of you who have a job, this is really simple. You just hand somebody your business card, and it gives them something to remember you by. But now, if you're out of work, if you're looking for work, you're unemployed, or if you're working and you don't want someone to know that you're looking for a job, you don't want to give them your business card. So let's talk about the 14 square inches of space that you can do and use for your own business card. So you've got your elevator pitch ready, and you're going to leave this behind with the person that you just introduced yourself to. As I said, it's easy if you have a job, but we want to put these same things on a card for you. So we want your name, your company logo, the phone number that you will answer, an email address that is professional looking, a website if you have one, or a LinkedIn profile link, and an indication of what you do or what your business does. Then you also want to add something to the area of your area of expertise if you're seeking a job, and what your values are, what your value statement is to that person, what's in it for them. So what you're going to use these for is sharing information. So how often do you see an open networking opportunity advertised, like a meetup group or an open networking event or a job fair? If you're attending, you can take these along with you and leave them along with your resume, because the resume might get buried, but the business card goes into a business card pile. Recently there was an expo in the St. Charles, Illinois area, and the price of admission was a business card in the fishbowl. So if you have a card like this prepared, you can drop that in. It's great for networking opportunities. So as you're doing this, you can put on the back of the card the skills that you have. Office supply stores sell the business card stock, as do many discount retailers. I've seen them at Walmart. Software programs are available with templates for business cards. Microsoft Office Word has those. Use the front side of the card to provide your basic contact information, as we listed before, and a link to any other social media sites that you're using to network for your job search. So maybe you're tweeting professional items. Maybe you're using your LinkedIn profile. Perhaps you have a portfolio on a creative website somewhere. So use those websites on your card. A job title that would normally appear on a corporate business card could be replaced with your area of expertise. For example, marketing coordinator for mine could be a simple switch to marketing professional, or social media specialist, depending on what direction you wish to pursue. So accountant doesn't mean that you have to be, or it could be certified public accountant, or it could be human resources. It doesn't have to actually have what your title is. Use the back side of the card, as we noted already, to put a bulleted list of your action verbs. Action verbs are important where possible. So supervised or supervise X, dictate X. It's all about what's in it for them, what's in it for the person that's going to be reading it later. So a couple of my examples are instructor for social media formats, graphic designer in multiple formats, editor for e-news and blog, creative writing, editorial writing, photographer. Again, make sure that you include your portfolio if that's going to be an important item that people might need to see. We have a question from the audience from Jane about what's the viewpoint on picture or no picture. Many realtors put their pictures on there so that somebody will recognize them. If you want a picture, that's up to you. It just helps them remember to place a face with a name so that somewhere down the road, oh, I remember that conversation that I had with X person. So it just makes it easier for them to come back and remember down the road. And you're not supposed to put a picture on your resume, so this is an opportunity for them to remember you. And what would I call this card? I would just call it my personal contact card, or your professional card. It's your version as a job seeker for a business card. All right. Oh, I like the resume card. It is. It's like a mini resume. I like that. All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the key takeaways. But what I want to drop in here is another chat pod. And if you want to take the opportunity, we're going to leave the webinar open for a few minutes after we're done with the presentation today. But if you would like to take a moment to put your 30-second elevator speech in the box, think about it for a few minutes, type it in there. Chelsea will email me this chat pod, so I will need your email address and your elevator speech, and I will send back to you what I think you could do to adapt your elevator speech. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to talk right now about our key takeaways. We need to remember to make it clear. Anything that you say to somebody needs to be understood about what you do, and avoid acronyms if possible. You need to consider that somebody might not be familiar with your specific technology, but they might know someone who is. So as I always say in LinkedIn, it's not about who you know, it's about who they know. Always make sure that they can make the connection for you because they understand what you do. KISS. Keep it short and sweet. Enough said. Keywords, written or verbal. It's about the keywords that's related to your industry. Remember, keywords on LinkedIn, keywords in your resume, keywords in your elevator speech. You always want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're using those keywords that people will understand. And your unique selling proposition. What do you say to help the listener understand what's in it for them? It's not what's in it for me at this point. It's what's in it for them. How will you solve those people's problems for them? All right, we've got an elevator speech in here. Couple. Oh, very good. So what we'll do, we'll leave this open for a few moments here, and we will answer a couple of questions, give you guys time to think, and then we'll review these and send them back to you. So please make sure that you include your email address. So we have a question here. Can you do for an accountant or accounting manager? And Nicole, I think you typed yours in, so I will review that for you. Kelly asks, could you please give us an example of an employed person's ES? Kelly, I'm not sure quite what you mean by ES, so if you could type that into the main chat pod. And then what would you call this card? We have a professional profile card. I like that. Sherry wrote that. Suzanne wrote resume card. I'm open for a suggestion. I wrote this article about the 14 square inches of space when I was still with Kane County Workforce Agency. So that was a long time ago. All right, we have a couple of suggestions, or a couple of them here. I am a resourceful problem solver, CPA with extensive business experience in finance accounting field who possesses strong analytical skills and proven ability to apply logic and intellect in decision making. A disciplined and detail-oriented individual who interacts easily with associates at all levels of organization. It's a good start, Nicole. I like that. I like that quite a bit. And Suzanne says, hi, my name is Suzanne. I work in retail and am currently looking for something in this area. My last position was with Meyer as a backdoor receiver. I checked in vendors and and I think that means dealt with damaged products. I am qualified to operate a forklift. That's a good point. I am dependable and hardworking. All right, I can play with some of these. It's very nice. We will be looking at these. And as Chelsea said, we will be posting the archived video after the second session Thursday. And I think I might compile all of the elevator speeches and do them all at one time. So look for them later this week. All right. So today I would like to thank you for attending. We can look at our post on Illinois WorkNet. You are always welcome to join us in our social media. We have a LinkedIn group, and Chelsea, if you can put that link into the chat pod for us so that they can join us on Illinois WorkNet group. Please answer the chat questions, the polling questions in the bottom to let us know how useful this elevator speech presentation was for you. The elevator speech is now up above in the above the presentation, so we'll leave that open for you for a few moments longer. I'd like to let you know that our next webinar will be on interviewing, and it will be June 4th and 5th, June 4th at 10 a.m. and June 5th at 1 p.m. We look forward to being able to help you with learning more about the different kinds of interviews and how you can prepare some of the best questions and be ready to answer some of the most often asked questions within an interview. So we will leave the chat pods open for you if you want to type in your elevator speech, and we will email those back to you. So thanks, everybody, for attending.
Hey, Dee.
Yes,
Hey,
ma'am.
Dee. I have real quick. In the elevator speech, I noticed there was a question, should you have multiple elevator speeches?
If you have multiple types of jobs, you might prepare one depending on what sort of activity you are pursuing at the moment. I know that you can sometimes combine areas of expertise so that they will be beneficial to others. But again, the same thing with transferable skills. You might want to focus on the transferable skills that you can bring. So I think that whoever asked that question, please let me know, yes, that I answered what you were asking.
Right. Teresa said sometimes job seekers have multiple targets, such as healthcare, marketing, higher education. Do you recommend having multiple elevator speeches or one that weaves all three? So sounds like you answered the question.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'd like to thank Natasha and Chelsea and Lacey and DeTonia for helping get this presentation off the ground today. And I am very thankful for their assistance on a regular basis. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. And if you need to listen to this again, it will be posted on Illinois WorkNet after Thursday's session. So thanks very much, and have a great afternoon.